are big, that basically look like that thing in the bottom left. Most motherboards have some slots for that. They're a little bit more of a pain to work with, but most of the modern hard drives are SATA. I don't recommend upgrading your hard drive alongside everything else. The easiest way to do it is actually to leave your hard drive the same, then put in all the motherboard, then do all the rest of that, kind of upgrade, let it stabilize, make sure it runs nice with the old hard drive, then get a new hard drive, shift all the information over, things like that, and just kind of clone it. I'm not going to get into hard drive cloning in this commentary, but there's lots of guides for that online. Anyway, in the middle there's the faceplate, bottom right is the SLI bridges, and what those are for is if you buy SLI or Crossfire compatible graphics cards, you can actually get 2 graphics cards or 3 graphics cards for that bottom right one, and you have 2 graphics cards that are running simultaneously and in parallel, which gives you a little bit better processor speed. I actually did it a while ago when I had the money just to kind of mess around with it. I also got a really good deal on the graphics cards I purchased. Very good deal. And as a result, just decided to mess around with it, even though, because it was cheaper than the next thing up and the performance was pretty worth it. But generally you want to stick to, at this stage in my opinion, just a single graphics card, because you're not going to get your money out of it, basically getting the 3 or 2 graphics cards for the boost. Anyway, here's everything in the wrapper. I attempted to install Windows 7, which is actually a mistake, because again I figured out, hey, let me install it. That's a good picture of my monitor actually, which I got off Woot.com, which has pretty good deals every once in a while. Big Woot fan actually. Yeah, I installed Windows 7, had some compatibility issues with StarCraft on it, so I ended up rolling back to regular XP. Here is the motherboard and everything totally exposed here. I've opened up the side of my case. If you are upgrading to a new computer completely fresh, I would say get a very nice, you want a very nice case, and the other thing you want to not skimp on is going for a very nice power supply. And the very nice power supplies tend to be Antec and a couple other brands. Again, you can find reviews of those online. Usually if you get a very nice power supply that has pretty good wattage on it, you might not ever have to buy a new one. So I say don't skimp on that. Don't skimp on your case. There's other components like your motherboard you can kind of skimp on. I wouldn't skimp on the RAM. You can kind of skimp on graphics cards at times. Sometimes hard drives you can kind of skimp on, get away with it. Other little components like that you can kind of skimp on, but the power supply in particular, I would say don't, because that can damage everything. And the case, those are the 2 components that might last your life. Your motherboard, your chip, those are probably going to be replaced every 2 to 3 years. Graphics cards can be replaced pretty often as well. But again, the other 2 components you want to keep with. This is everything splayed out here. That fan right there is, and you can see kind of the dust buildup of kind of the age and whatnot. The dust build thing in the middle, that's where the fan is sitting on top of the chip, on top of the motherboard. You can see the 2 SLI linked. That little blue thing is linking those 2 SLI graphics cards together. Make sure if you are getting graphics cards that you're lining them up. If you're getting Crossfire cards, you're going to need them with a Crossfire compatible motherboard. If you're getting SLI cards, you're going to need it with SLI compatible motherboard. Little tip there. I've also got a sound card down below, but most motherboards have onboard sound. The reason I actually bought that sound card is because this motherboard in particular had trouble with onboard sound, which is actually sweet, because now that I've got the spare, basically this motherboard has onboard sound, so I might be able to feed it through in such a way where I'm going to get sound in my StarCraft, the replay commentaries, which will be sweet. Here's a picture of the graphics card as well as the sound card. The sound card goes into what are called PCI slots, the graphics card usually into PCI Extreme slots. Yeah, so I guess I can go in depth. Basically, you had PCI way back in the day. That's kind of what those standard slots on. If you go back a picture, I guess I don't really have that. I'll show you in the picture ahead actually in a minute here. But basically they're just things that slot directly into motherboard. That's for kind of the more basic stuff, like sound cards, I guess I could say, are more basic. For the graphics cards, they specifically made new ports to go in there, PCI Express in particular. For a while there's AGP. AGP is kind of dying out though. Anyway, it's still lingering here and there, but generally you want a PCI Express card. Here there you can see the hard drives and the SATA cables kind of flying out. There's the IDE cable, which is actually going to the CD-ROM. Yeah, that's what you should expect, that kind of old ribbon. Sometimes if you have the older hard drives, you'll see that ribbon coming out of the hard drive there as well. And that makes it slightly more complicated because you have to set master and slave like that. If you are upgrading and have problems with that, I guess message me. I'll kind of give you a guide on how to set that. Usually you want to line it up so your main hard drive is the master, your secondary hard drive, if you have one, is the slave on the jumper cables, and that they're both linking into the motherboard in appropriate ways as a result. But I'll not go over that in this commentary again. Here is the motherboard completely splayed out. On the left there you can see, first of all, you see those white slots. Those are the PCI slots. And then right next to it, that's the SLI slot, just next to that, and you can see the two, I think those are the PCI Extreme slots, basically, right next to it. That's the black, and then there's the blue one's kind of hard to see, but yeah, those are the two PCI Extreme. And then just, I think those are the times 16, and then like just the PCI Express, or like times 6, those are the little slots next to it. Some of the in-between graphics cards are that. Bottom right hand corner of the motherboard, you can see that where that little black thing is next to the screw. If you go to the left from that bottom right screw, the black thing and that white, that's where the power supply would plug in. To the left of that, those 3 slots are where the IDE cables would plug in. That's again for your CD-ROM or older hard drives, sometimes your floppy drive if you're still using one of those. And just to the left of that, those little yellow tabs, those are the SCTA plugins. And you can actually see the RAM to the upper right. Those are those blue things from up above. And there's the fan that's just kind of hanging loose. And also the CPU fan on top of everything. You can see how dusty and old this is comparatively. Bottom left, don't worry about that. That's actually USB plugins, but I won't go into that. So if you have your case brand new, this won't be a step you need to do. I obviously needed to do it because I'm doing an upgrade. But anyway, I remove the motherboard from the removable case portion, where the motherboard carriage is, I guess. Remove the faceplate, which is actually rather important because you want things to line up against kind of the back of the computer. So you remove that little faceplate, it will pop out. Your motherboard will come with a new one. You just kind of slot that in, line everything up first, and kind of push it a little against there on top so everything lines up. So you can get a kind of nice look at where the screws are going in. Make sure everything kind of fits snugly and nicely the way you want it to with the faceplate in place. Look how shiny that is. I just love how shiny that is. And then what I do, the way I think it's the best way to screw these things in, is you go bottom left, top right, bottom right, top left. So there's not like because there's different screws across this board. You can't really see them on this picture. But yeah, I really highly suggest just kind of doing it. You spread it out. You do it one at a time.